Kingdom Purpose TV.
Hello and welcome to Kingdom Inspiration News. I am your host, Gwen Tillery, and today I have the honor and privilege of interviewing this guest named Mike, but he refers himself on social media as Manle Mike. So, Manle Mike, he's going to tell you a little bit more about himself, but he is one of the contributing authors in the book that was recently released, Through the Fire. And the section of his book is entitled, God Help Me to Be Manly. So we're going to talk about what that's all about. He's also a coach. So I'm really excited. Can you tell I'm excited about this interview? So welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blessing, and you've been a blessing in my life as well.
Thank you. Thank you. So just, I kind of already said a little bit about you, but tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Great. So I am, my name is Michael Hunt. On social media, I go by Manle Mike, Manle. The E is for showing the emotion that a man is supposed to be showing in life and in relationships. I currently have a bachelor's degree in biblical studies for Sure Foundation Theological Institute. I have been a personal trainer for over 15 years, which has been my love and passion. And through health and wellness, I'm able to help transform people that will also, with them losing weight, also them receiving healing in the process of putting work in to burn necessarily calories. I'm also on the verge of being I am like if you want to say a social media influencer, and I specialize in having a wholesome marriage and what it's like to walk through what a godly marriage is supposed to be like. I am married for 16 plus years to my wife, which is Carice Hunt. On social media, you will be able to follow her as Reese Cup Hunt. And during our lives, we map through everything between finances, the importance of life insurance, health and wellness. And we recently closed a series that we call the Sex Series that has been, it put us out there through to a lot of people because we were able to be candid and upfront. I am just a minister of the gospel, which just means I'm a servant, and I'm happy to be here on Kingdom Inspiration News with my sister Gwen, and we've known each other for years, and I'm just excited to dive in.
Yes. Definitely excited to have you on. Like I said, like Mike said, we've known each other for a while, and we can get into these conversations and literally Mike and I could just go on and like, look, our spouses are like, all right, listen, we got to go. But, it's always good to have that person that you can connect with and have real, honest, candid dialogue with, and even disagreement. But at the end of it, you're like, okay, all right, yeah, be good. And that's exactly how we are. So let's start, we could go in so many different areas. Let's start with what you said was your inspiration, your personal training business and health and fitness. How did you get involved with that?
Wow. So what's funny was I got into it when I was in high school. I was in the process of getting a dual scholarship for track and football, and it fell through. So out of depression, I was always a person that if I felt like there was something wrong with me, I wanted to work out. I wanted to try and work it out mentally and physically. So even during the process of high school, I always loved training, and it just built a better positive mindset for me. And it wasn't until when my football aspirations fizzled out, I was just praying to God about what is my purpose? What do I love to do? And eventually it came to how much I love the preparation of working out and training and transformation, that it was just a simple walk through the door. And that happened, as a matter of fact, it's been over 20 years now. I think about it, because I opened my first, was a part of opening my first gym in 2001. And from there, it just blossomed where it's a high. It's what gets me up early in the mornings and what keeps me up late at night. Where and especially as a coach, uh, it just the same way an EMT will come to your house to, if there's a problem. I look at myself in the same kind of the same vein, where I can be able to, with the diagnosis that doctors have, I'm able to help find a holistic approach to it, and also a spiritual approach to finding that healing. And I'm currently now, I contract out of a gym in this area, as well as have individual clients, as well in the process of building group clients, group training clients, and now in the process of having a couples forum, to where husbands and wives can get together and be able to train together and map out what healthy eating would be in the home. So yeah, that's been a journey. It just dawned on me, it's been 20 years. My goodness.
Well, yeah, that is a long time. So you said you were talking about the physical aspect of it, and then you mentioned as well as the food. So you actually combine the physical, the exercise, as well as the importance of eating healthy into your routine.
Yes, 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 yes. So also, one of the things I'm an advocate about is just with men's health. And I feel that, let's take, for instance, there's a lot of people that may have struggled with high blood pressure and diabetes. Uh, Society would tell us to want to go towards a pill to be able to counteract those effects. But the more, when you just do a little bit more research in regards to our bodies, like, our bodies are fearfully and wonderfully made. It naturally wants to heal itself. We just got to put it in the right environment for that healing to take place. It may not be overnight, but it could take weeks, it could take months, it could take years, but it's a matter of consistency. Um, so, I mean, that's part of what the process is about, being able to encourage and motivate and inspire somebody to maintain the course, even though the scale may not move, even though the clothes may not fit to the way we like. It's still a journey that it can have highs and lows. So part of my training business is called Ebbs and Flows Fitness. So I want to detail the highs and lows of the process, to embrace the low part, and also rejoice and cheer when the high parts come, which is weight loss, us fitting into the clothes that's in the far back of our closets that is just neglected. That's where I get my joy from. And I think that's where we find true healing, when we're able to find the spiritual diagnosis to where we are at the time, and being able to change that and push forward towards a brighter and lighter future.
So, question. So, what do you think? I don't. You probably know the statistics and the numbers a whole lot better than me, but I know it's like well over 50% of Americans are overweight, considered overweight. And I don't know the number exactly for obesity, but out of that 50%, it's a large number of people who are considered obese. What do you think the struggle is? Is it because we don't have the time? Is it because we're not educated? Is it a combination of things? Are we just simply, as some people refer to us as just lazy Americans? What is the deal? Why is there such a struggle as it relates to our health now?
Whew. So there's a lot of facets that go along with it. There can be economical differences between the quality of food that we have. It can be generational, because our genes matter. So it could be things that's during the course of our generation that's, it's a predisposition about high blood pressure and diabetes. Two biggest points that you are absolutely correct about is the mental aspect and the physical aspect. So the mental aspect that we don't think about is we have chain reactions to food. So let's say if we're depressed, naturally there would be foods that will help to ease ourselves through that mental depression.
Mm.
So some people will want to go towards chocolate. Some people will want to go towards salty. Some people will want to go towards sugar. There's so the chain reaction, not going too scientific, but if we're depressed and we don't understand why we are depressed, we will look to feed that need. So we would go to one of those three aspects that if it's salt, high blood pressure, if it's sugar, diabetes, if it's very, very high fat, cholesterol, which also breeds to high blood pressure, but we get strokes, heart disease, heart attacks, along with all those other foods. So there's the mental aspect of that. And then also the physical. We are, in fact, among the laziest nations because we have such resources. We have such resources for us to be able to go and do things, and we sit in our seats where like what we are now, and we're not able to move around as a lot. That means we're not burning enough calories, that if we don't change our eating, we'll gain the weight. So yeah, it's the mental, it's the physical part that I feel that ails us the most as a nation. And I think the way we remedy that is by making small incremental steps towards the positive. But the reasons why we do it is because of those things, that it's easier to go to McDonald's than it is to cook, keeping it real. And the fries taste so much better than vegetables. you know, uh, One of my things that I like doing personally, like with me being a trainer, there's a bulking season and then there's a cutting season. So naturally, when you want to gain more muscle, you got to bulk, you got to gain weight. I love that season because I can eat whatever I want. But then when it comes towards losing weight, even for me as a trainer, I have to start building my self control back to where I was when I was losing weight. So that means I got to make sure I'm more active. I got to make sure I have a better mindset. And I got to make sure I put myself in a better environment. So it goes for all of us. And even us as trainers, we go through the same things as Americans. Over 65% of us as Americans are obese. So that's over 25% body fat. I'm not one for going by the BMI because the BMI can be very, very small and skinny. And, majority of us, we want to try and be as close to those numbers, not in those numbers. But yeah, it's mental, it's physical, it's going for the path easily resisted, like the least resisted. It takes work, it takes being tired of the way you look or the way
Mm.
that you feel to counteract it. But those are mainly the biggest reasons why we find ourselves in a obese state. I don't want to say obese state, but least pleasurable state for us, where we struggle with our weight.
So, for someone like me, I'll use myself. No shame. For someone like me who needs to lose those 15 pounds, and just can't seem to get it off. What is a simple recommendation for that person? Where should I start?
Great. Um, First thing is to be very clear, or have an open picture of who you are. So first part of that is for anybody listening, and you're very conscious with that, with this, especially with your testimony and everything that you've chronicled, how the Lord's blessed you. Go see a doctor. That was one of the things that you did, that I I would suggest to anybody. Go see a doctor. Get everything checked out, because now you'll get a clear picture about who you are internally. Us as believers walking around, all right, God, I'm healed. I can do whatever. Know who you are. Go get checked. And then if you know you're having a problem with weight loss, some of the small things that we can do that I'm a huge advocate of is one, let's regulate our sleep first. You know, average Americans is supposed to be getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a day. If you're only averaging about 3 and 4, then again, it's incremental. So you want to try and push towards, if you're at 3, let's push towards 4. If you're at 4, let's push towards 5. If you're at 5, let's push towards 6. Prime example with me, for example, how this looks is I get off of my devices an hour before bed, so I won't be stimulated for me to go to sleep. Because naturally our phones have a blue light filter, which encourages us to stick to the screen. So we blink less, concentrate more, and it keeps us revved up. So the less off-screen time we have, it helps to mellow you out. I also build a routine where I take a shower, I brush my teeth. I put on something that smells good. All of that is to prep me for my sleep, for me to get 7 hours. So that's one part. Second part is water consumption. Over 70% of us as Americans are dehydrated. We should be at least taking in half of our body weight in ounces of water, unless you have some kind of physical condition prescribed or diagnosed by a doctor that would restrict you from doing that. So naturally, water can be the byproduct of the vehicle that helps pushes out those dead cells for us to be able to either get it out by all the fat cells is taken out by waste. So we want to water help. I'm trying to be as politically correct as possible. Like, you know, we do
Drink,
number one and we do number.
let me help you. Drink your water. It will help you to stay regular.
There we go. There we go. You said it for me. Praise God.
Yes, water is very important. Look,
Yes.
that's the one thing. That's not an issue for me. I definitely drink a lot of water. So yeah, sleep.
So now 3.
Sleep is not. Let me just say this: sleep is not overrated.
Yes.
Sleep is not overrated. You know, I hear people say, some, especially in business, like, I don't have time to sleep. Well, your business isn't going to do too well after a while because literally your body will shut down.
Yes.
Sleep and rest is a vital part of taking care of yourself. It's a vital part of self-care. So sleeping is important. Absolutely. Water, again, very important. Helps you keep hydrated, helps to clean your system. So water is key. Give us one more.
Good. I'll give you 2 more and I'll make it fast. Exercise. At least 30 minutes a day. I say 4 days out the week. If you're not able to do that, push it to 20 minutes, but start somewhere where you're exerting your body, meaning if you're getting up and just power walking, that is something more than what you have done. So there's a thing called basal metabolic rate. It just basically says scientifically the amount of calories that we take in on a daily basis for us to be at this weight. So we want to try and burn those calories to where less calories going in means we lose weight, which goes to the last part, the food we eat. So make sure you are exercising. Well, make sure you're regulating sleep. Make sure you're checking your water. Have a consistent resistance program going on, half an hour, 3 to 4 days a week. And then your food is your fuel. So make sure you regulate your food. If you don't want to hire a fitness coach, go to your doctor again, and they can prescribe a nutritionalist to where you can be able to learn the ins and outs, the macro and micro level of our food.
Yes, I actually saw a nutritionist for a while, and it was very extremely helpful. So yes, the first thing you started with was go see your doctor, and that is very important because you can legitimately be struggling with weight gain because of a medical issue or a medical concern. And no matter what you do, unless you address the medical concern, the weight will be an issue, which, by the way, I just got reminded of the fact why I probably am struggling with those 15 pounds is because there is a low thyroid issue that I forgot that I had. So, for me, where I could lose weight a little bit easier, even a couple of years ago, it's not just the age factor. It is actually something going on with my body that makes it more challenging. So I love those tips. See a doctor first, because that's the other thing. You don't want to start doing something that you should not be doing that will actually make the situation worse. So
Cool.
good advice. I will go through them again. See your doctor.
Drink
Drink
water.
your water.
Regulate sleep.
Regulate sleep.
Resistance program.
Get
And
out there and walk. If you don't walk and you're not doing anything, get out there and walk for 30 minutes a day. Walking really made a big difference in my life. And it's a great time to meditate and have conversations with God. I
Mhm.
love walking. And then finally, the last one was
What you eat.
what you eat. Slowly change things. I'm not the dive in, cut it all out kind of person. I have found that the most successful times when I was like, okay, I'm really going to do this, I started eliminating things little by little. I don't do like this automatic, yeah, I'm just cutting everything out. It always seems to fail. And it really doesn't help you to learn new habits.
Yeah.
So this has when you start to gain the weight, you realize you're starting to add those things back in, do the reverse and start slowly taking them away again, and you will see a difference. So
Yeah.
let's get into this Manly Mike stuff. So like I said, you were a contributing author to Through the Fire, and your section was titled God Help Me Be Manly. You are, along with your wife, Carice Hunt, the creators of, what's the name of the show you do?
We call it monogamy moments.
Right. Okay. So how did that all come about?
So it all came about where I started a segment where it was just called Manly Moments, where I get to share my heart, and it's coming from a very, very strong manly place. What ended up happening was I was sharing so much of my point of view that my wife wanted to start to come in, because I was, it was a space during the pandemic where I was able to share my point of view, because there was a lot of conversations that was going on, and we didn't have a real man's perspective. There was, influencers that, God, unfortunately, they fell upon hard times, and uh, some people divorced, some people had infidelity. And I wanted to bring up some of the points that us as men, we neglect to bring out. So with that, my wife was hearing my point of view, appreciating it, but she wanted to add a flair to keep me in line, she would say. So eventually I said to her, look, instead of you talking behind the camera, you need to be in here in front of the camera, so that people can see a woman's point of view along with a man's point of view. I'm not going to back down from you, and you're not going to back down from me, where eventually it changed to us saying, all right, we have to change it. And it's going through another revamp too. So I'm glad I didn't say what it was, because my wife would kill me. But it's been a blessing, because we've been able to have freeing conversations for both of us, and we were able to walk through what is it like to be a woman in 2022 or a woman 2020 and dealing with a pandemic, coming out of a pandemic, and reevaluating what womanhood is, as opposed to the main reason for the show was me showing what the 2020 man was dealing with during a pandemic, coming out of it, and now being in a space where where men should be more conscious about being better husbands, better fathers, and better men. And like I said, the reason why I changed it, instead of being manly with a Y, was I'm a person that I'm full of emotion. And the one thing the Lord showed me with this is, if I'm going to do this, I have to be a man that is just as emotional for my sports team. I need to not only match it, but exceed it when it comes towards the things of God that he's told me that I have to be able to speak about, which has been such a ride since the release of the book, which has been a catapult for where we are in ministry now.
Yeah. So the show, the show is very candid and very real and open and honest. I've had the opportunity to check it out. I got to admit, it comes on a little bit later in the evening. And
Yes.
usually by that time, I have a full day. I'm kind of sleepy. I'm a little bit tired, but I sometimes will catch the replay. But I've had many of these conversations with Mike directly. Um, some would say it's a bit much, but this is what I believe. I believe one of the reasons why we continue to struggle, I'm not talking about in general, but we as kingdom people continue to struggle is because we operate in lack of truth
Yes.
and lack of transparency. And so we're always thinking and feeling like this is just a me issue. This is my issue. This is something that I need to deal with, when in reality, it is usually not the case. It is usually the situation that it's for many. I won't say for all or for most, but it's for many. And the more we are flexible and open and candid with being real and
Yeah.
being honest and sharing what's really happening, I feel like it will lead to the process of healing, transformation, and better marriages.
Indeed.
And so I love what you guys are doing. Sometimes I'm going to be honest, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just so real. But it's adult conversation. I'm not telling your 12-year-old shouldn't be listening to it, but you should be listening to it because, again, the two issues in marriage are, as you said, money and sex. That's usually it. We don't talk about the money issue really, and we definitely don't talk about the sex issue. So
Yeah.
to have a platform where you can begin to talk, and it's bigger than sex, I want to say intimacy,
Yes.
to be able to talk about what that really means from a man's perspective, from a woman's perspective, and for what it looks like as a kingdom couple. I absolutely love it. So take the time to look up Manle Mike and find the show. You again, it is honest, it is open, it is real, but it is very much a conversation that is needed in this day and age.
Yes.
Yeah. Before we end, like I said, your title for your section was "God Help Me to Be Manly."
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Before we end, could you just give us a minute or two for the men who are listening? What does that mean, and how do they begin that process?
Yes. The process of beginning to be really manly with what the Lord intended us to be. We got to be builders. In the part of the book, I walk through the transition of how me not being able to communicate what manliness really is for me led me through different parts of my life where it was a struggle, where once when God truly gave me what I wanted in somebody that I can be married with, I was faced with all of the pitfalls that breeds negative behavior in men, whether it be promiscuity, problem with masturbation. The porn industry has a huge part to do with things, and over sexualization of men. So and also the knowledge that's capable for us to move forward. So I walk through the path from knowing who I'm supposed to marry to present day, and how the Lord had to continuously show me and not take his hands off of me that to be manly is first to know who God is, to love who God is, and be able to strive to be exactly what he called us to be, being the high priests in our homes, to be a better husband, better father, better man. So I'm able to walk through that, and also the blessings and the benefits that comes with adhering to the struggle, nailing my flesh to the cross on a daily basis. So that's what it is. Lord, help me to be manly. Wish for everybody to check that part of the book out.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, I thank you so much for coming on. I thank you for all the nuggets and tips as it relates to health and wellness. And I thank you for being able to be transparent on a subject that is very much needed. So thanks for coming on.
Yes, thank you. You have a good one.
You too. Before we end, how can people reach you?
Sure. You can reach me on Facebook and Instagram under Manle, Manle Mike. It's right there on the bottom. Send me an IM, send me anything to, give me a shout. Future endeavors will be changing. So you can go to my website at eandftraining.com, the letters training.com, but that will be soon to be changed as we roll out a new year and new principle.
All right. Thank you.
Check out a recent episode with Manle Mike and his wife, Carice Hunt.
If you think it should not die.
There we go. 2, if it needs to keep it party going. 1, if you feel like it needs to put the kibosh on it. Right. All right. So let's dive in. Spouse.
Yes.
Do you feel like 3 other? That's a cop-out.
Just like your team.
Wow, that was messed up. Do you feel like it needs to die?
No.
Or you feel like it needs to keep the party going?
I think it needs to be revitalized.
It needs to be revitalized. Why do you say?
I think that, one, understanding what chivalry is,
Yes.
needs to be discussed. And 2, I think that it needs to, when I say revitalize, it needs to be talked about more and what chivalry is to, maybe you or me. But also what it, I think it would bring in more conversation. I think it would bring in more respect. I think it would bring forth more, what's the word I'm looking for? I think it would bring us maybe some more happiness in relationships.
You think it would bring in more happiness
Yeah.
in relationships?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm telling you, I'm chomping at
He said that was unnecessary.
I think each person in the relationship should be chivalrous to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I said that.
I like that. But
Oh,
here's
how
what
come you like it?
No. I said I like that too.
Okay.
We're gonna get there too.
Okay.
I have a question for you. What should chivalry be? That's the question. What should chivalry be?
So what do you think chivalry is for a man? And then let's start there.
What should chivalry be for a guy?
What do you think chivalry should be for a man? Or answer the question. So do you think that chivalry should just answer the question? You put it out there.
I think it needs to die.
Really?
I think it needs to die.
Okay, why?
The term chivalry.
Term chivalry? The acts of chivalry? Just because you don't like the way a word is, we going back to that happy life. You just don't like the word. You just don't like the word.
I think it needs to die.
You want to call it something else?
I think it needs to be rediscussed. We have to reintroduce this again. I think in 2022, the concept of chivalry, it needs to be done away with. That old school way of doing it.
What is that? I'm asking what?
Okay, I'm telling y'all now. If y'all expect when it's raining, I'm supposed to take off my perfectly good coat, lay it over a puddle for you to walk in?
Not saying that.
That's part of chivalry.
Wait, no. Chivalry now would be, okay, if it is raining and I have a jacket on, I'm going to make sure she's covered. Mm-hmm. That's not you laying it on the ground. Are you saying? I'm asking you. Are we talking? That was back in I don't even think the 1800s maybe.
When we talk about chivalry, isn't that not one of the things we're discussing?
No,
we're saying it's a lost art.
You said old school. So all right. So what are things? Again, what are the things that you think should stay, or what is chivalry? Let me ask.
Hello and welcome to Kingdom Inspiration News. This is our artist spotlight portion of the show, and I am excited to have on Alan W. Brown today on Kingdom Inspiration News. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be on with you all.
Thank you for agreeing to be here. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, yeah. My name is Alan Brown. I go by Alan W. Brown, which is my first name, middle initial, and my last name. I am a Christian rapper / Christian artist. I make music to glorify Jesus Christ. I am from Virginia, from the Central Virginia area. I am married. I do have a son. I'm just a minister of the gospel as well. Overall, I'm just a man of God, a man that loves Jesus. I love making music for my Lord and Savior. And I'm just a man on a mission for God.
So tell us, we know you're an artist. So what's your story? How did you find out about this love for music? But even before that, tell us a little bit about your background as it relates to, you even coming to know who God is. Are you someone who grew up in church, or, was somebody that got introduced to God later in life? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, I actually am. I did grow up in church. Thank God that I grew up in a 2-parent home with my mama and my father. Thank God that they started taking us to church when we was kids. Didn't really take it seriously, a lot of the times, just coming to church and kind of just play around, not really listening or paying attention to the word or the preaching that was going on. But just being in that environment, hearing about God, hearing about Jesus Christ, was a great thing, because, around about the age of 18, 19, 20, some things just started to change in my life as I started to get older and really think about life and just think about, like, what really is the purpose of life, and that's when I met my current wife now. She wasn't my wife then. The relationship with her that I had with her, it really kind of slowed me down. And, we started going to church together. And, I just started listening. I just started listening to the word. I started listening to the pastor when he was preaching. And it just started to sink in. I don't know. I know now, looking back now, I know that was God really opening up my heart, because at 20 years old, I really dedicated my life to him. I had been baptized around about 12, 13 years old, but I didn't really understand what I was doing. I was kind of just doing it because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. But around about the age of 20 is when things started to make sense to me. It's when I was sitting in church, and it was just like the Spirit was just hitting me in the heart every time the pastor would preach. This went on for week after week after week, when I was about 20. And then one Sunday, I just, I felt the leading in the Spirit so heavy. One Sunday, I just got up, went to the altar, and I really surrendered my life to Jesus Christ. Then, and ever since then, when I was 20, ever since then, I just been in the field working for Jesus. Like, I was a deacon at one point, then I became a minister. And then with the music, that started, when I was 12 years old. I used to look up to people like Lil Wayne and look up to the Jay-Z's and the Tupacs and all of that, and I was rapping at 12 years old, but I wasn't rapping for God. I was rapping, doing what I heard, trying to be like those guys, but, as I was doing that at 12 and 13, 14, people used to always, it was me and my brothers doing it together. I have 2 brothers as well, but people used to always tell me and look at me and say, you're pretty good at it. You pretty good at it. You got a gift at writing. People used to tell me that all the time, but I didn't really take it seriously, until when I truly gave my life to Christ at 20. I didn't even know Christian rap existed, honestly. I didn't even know there was no such thing. Like, people really rapping for God, really? And then I heard a CD by Lecrae. I don't know if you heard of Lecrae. I'm sure you might. Lecrae, I heard his CD, and that really blew my mind to the idea that you can actually rap for God. And that is when the journey began of me pursuing that, because God was just showing me that I could use my gift and my talent of rapping, writing raps, writing music, for his glory, for the kingdom.
That's good. So, how long have you actually been, in the gospel arena?
About 6 years, about 7 or 6 years, seriously, that I've been pursuing it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how do you transition from, okay, like, well, okay, I can, I can rap and I kind of like this, to really like, this is something that I want to do?
God just put a fire in my heart. Like he just put a desire in my heart that I just had to do it. Before making albums, before, traveling and doing, shows and things like that, and doing the ministry, like I'm doing it now, like it was just a fire in me to just do it for him. And just as I continue to go and progress and on with it, God just began to open door after door after door, from where I started to where I am now. I can look back and say it's all by the grace of God, because I started with nothing but a desire and a call from Jesus. Like I started with nothing to now he has just used me in so many different ways, opened so many doors in my life. And I just look back, I'm like, glory to God.
Yes. So share with us what are some of the struggles, again, I really wanted this platform to be an opportunity for independent artists, because I know it's challenging. So what are some of the struggles, as an independent gospel artist, have you faced?
Oh, just being independent financially, it is difficult. It's hard to fund your music, because when you are trying to do it seriously, when you are, trying to do it at a high level, it takes funds. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of time, a lot of your attention, a lot of your focus. You got to have people around you, that can help you and provide some of the resources that you need. So, it's a lot of different areas that it can be difficult in. And if you're not serious about it, if God ain't truly called you into this music, there's so many obstacles, so many roadblocks, so many difficulties, you're not gonna make it. Like you're gonna get tired, you're gonna feel like giving up, and eventually you're gonna give up. Because there are gonna be times when you putting out music, putting out songs, and nobody's listening, nobody's paying attention, seems like nothing's happening, and you just gotta keep going. You gotta definitely have to educate yourself in how to market your music, how to promote yourself, how to branding and all that type of stuff. All that type of stuff is important when it comes to music. You have to learn all of that. I had to learn a lot, along the way, and it definitely has not been easy. Definitely has not been easy. But my love for it, my desire, my knowing that it's a call on my life is what has pushed me to keep going in the difficult times.
And that's what I was going to say. I guess because you feel like this is really like your assignment, this is what you're supposed to do, that has kind of pushed you and allowed you to stay within that that knowing that that's your purpose.
Right. Yes, purpose. And that is the thing. Like when I found my purpose, life just changed. It's just, when you find your purpose, it's like that thing that that God has created you to do. It's like, that you have to do it. You just have to do it. It's like, even if nobody's listening, even if nobody pays attention, even if nothing happens with this song that you're working on, just the feeling, the excitement, the joy that you get out of doing it, is no other. It's a greater high than any drug, anything you can smoke or anything. Like it's just an awesome feeling to do what you've been called to do.
Yes,
Create.
it is. It absolutely is.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have I heard you mentioned about that was then and this is now. So do you do a lot of traveling, or do you tend to stay more local?
I've done a lot of stuff locally, but I've also recently been able to travel I performed in Jacksonville, Florida recently. I performed in North Carolina 3 or 4 times. I've been to South Carolina. I've been to just a lot of places along the East Coast. I've been, God has opened some doors for me to be able to travel a little bit here recently. Like I said, I've done a lot of things locally as well. So, yeah.
So tell us about the last song that you produced and put out. What's the title of it?
The Soul on Fire. Yep.
Okay. So what's the inspiration? What's the story behind that?
Yeah, well, Soul on Fire, that just came out Friday. The inspiration behind that was, I'm just letting people know that I'm on fire for Jesus, and I don't want that fire to ever go out. It's an upbeat song, a up-tempo song. It's a fast song, got a nice beat to it that you can dance to, that you can just praise God to. And the song is just saying, like, my soul is on fire, and I don't want it to go out. We ain't never stopping. We not stopping until God say this thing, tell us to stop. We on a mission. We on fire.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So has one of your challenges been trying to transition into like the more traditional churches because you are a gospel rapper, or are you finding that maybe it's a little bit easier now?
Oh man, it definitely has been a challenge, trying to, do it in like some traditional churches. And I've been in a lot of Baptist churches. I've been in a lot of, just the traditional churches, and it's not for everybody. It's what I've learned so far. What I've learned on my journey so far is that it's not for everybody, and that you got to know your audience. You got to know your audience. I've seen a different reaction being in a traditional church versus just being out at a concert venue with youth. It's just a different reaction. It's a different atmosphere. People are more open to it. The younger crowd is a lot more open to it. But that's not to say that I'm just like totally against the traditional church, against that, not at all. But I just know my audience. So I kind of just allow the Spirit to lead me and where to go. I know now I can't say yes to everything. That some things it's not for me to do, and there's a specific, audience that God has called me to reach. And I try to just, follow the Spirit on that,
Right. So who is that audience? Who do you think that God has called you to be able to bring these powerful messages to?
A lot of the people that have received my ministry well are the people around my age, like people that are middle-aged adults down to the teenagers. Like, that's the dynamic that my music has hit the hardest and the most. People around 30 on down. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, 30 is not middle aged.
Yeah. Well, and that's not to say, I have people that are older than that support as well, but just the overall picture, looking at it, that is what has hit the most.
Yeah, I had an interview earlier with a young man, and he's also a gospel rapper, and his audience really is geared toward youth. And the conversation that we had, it was a great interview, great conversation. When you think about it, the age that you are talking about, from teens up to 30. So we're talking about that millennial generation for
Mm-hmm.
the most part.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that are not really active within the physical church right now. They're
Right.
not going into the church. So there has to be people who's going to bring the message out to them.
Right. Speak that language, have to be
Right.
able to
And
speak that
be
language.
able to bring it, and they can relate to it, and they
Yes,
can understand it.
yes. And you also have to deal with being a gospel rapper. You have to deal with people everybody don't believe that rap is of God. There are some people out there that don't believe that that you should be rapping for God. So I've dealt with that. People online sending you hateful messages or comments on your songs and saying things like, "Oh, that's just this is of the devil," and things like that. Like, you have to deal with that as well, because everybody don't agree with it. Which doesn't make sense to me at all.
Doesn't really make sense to me either, because I don't think God is concerned whether we're singing it, speaking it, or rapping it. As long as we are trying to be the light, which we've been called to be, I don't think that he's going to have an issue with us because you rapped it versus someone else singing it.
Right.
At the end of the day, the goal is to spread the message of Jesus Christ, to let people know about who he is, about his love. So, you know what? Just ignore the naysayers, and you just got to keep going. So before we end, I want you to first share, how can people find you on social media?
Okay, yeah, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I have a Twitter, even though I'm not that active on there. But I'm very active on Facebook and Instagram. My handle was at awb.igit on Facebook and Instagram. On Twitter is awb_igit. Then my website, of course, www.inGodITrustForever.com. Hey, man, you can look me up on all of those websites. Follow me there. My music is available on Spotify, Apple Music, all of the digital streaming sites and the stores is available everywhere. You can go check it out.
Great. Before we end, do you have any words of encouragement for someone that might be listening that, feels like they've been called to, not just gospel rap, but, gospel as an independent artist, period, that might be struggling? What would you say to them?
I would say to them, don't give up. Don't give up. Keep the faith. If you know that God has called you to it, he's going to bring you through it. Like, you got to just keep going. Even when you hit those hard times, when you hit those seasons where it seems like just nothing is happening, nothing is going your way, keep going. Just keep going. Sometimes you got to just encourage yourself that you can do it. Just don't give up. That's the worst thing you can do. That's the one way you can guarantee that it ain't going to happen, is if you give up. Everybody else around you can give up. Everybody else around you cannot believe in what you're doing. But as long as you believe, as long as you continue to go, the dream will still live. The dream is still alive as long as you still believe. So don't give up.
Thank you. That's great. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself. Before we end, I just want to thank you. We're going to also let you check out a little bit of his music. So here you go.
My heart goes out to any and everybody that's been lost due to senseless violence in this world. Listen to my heart cry. Listen to my heart cry. All the evil in this world, I'm like, God, why? Yeah, I see it coming down my eyes. I just gotta let my heart cry. Listen to my heart cry. All the evil in this world, I'm like, God, why? Yeah, I see it coming down my eyes. I just gotta let my heart cry. Let my heart cry. Listen to that beat cry. Check it. Listen, Uvalde, Buffalo, man, I'm sick of it. All these evil men shedding blood of the innocent. Yeah, I'm trying to do what the Bible say, but what do you do when them bullets aiming for your head? What do you do when they tell you that your son dead? Heart full of pain, all you wanna do is cry. And every time you pray, you just asking God why. I understand, cause my son is my heart. It will hurt like hell if you tear us apart. Yeah, I'm just trying to keep it real. This cold world, man, this really how I feel. If you take away my family, it'd be hard for me to heal. Listen to my heart cry. All the evil in this world, I'm like, God, why? Yeah, I see it coming down my eyes. I just gotta let my heart cry. Listen to my heart cry. All the evil in this world, I'm like, God, why? Yeah, I see it coming down my eyes. I just gotta let my heart cry. Let my heart cry. Listen to that beat cry. Imagine being in Walmart with your friends laughing. Just imagine. Then out of nowhere you hear these guns blasting. No more laughing, joy turned tragic. Real talk, I'm just sick of all the madness, sick of all the sadness. Anybody can pull triggers, you ain't savage. No child should have to watch another child bleed. They're learning death before they even learn how to read. We getting shot, we getting killed buying groceries. Dear Lord, this not how it's supposed to be. Dear Lord, I pray for those close to me. Dear Lord, I'm lifting up my family. Yeah. Listen to my heart cry. All the evil in this world, I'm like, God, why? Yeah, I see it coming down my eyes. I just gotta let my heart cry. Listen to my heart cry. All the evil in this world, I'm like, God, why? Yeah, I see it coming down my eyes. I just gotta let my heart cry. Let my heart cry. Listen to that beat cry.
Hey, this is Manle Music, and you're watching Gwen on Kingdom News.